Hey, third graders. Are we ready to hear about maybe what moved those curtains in our last chapter? Or I should say our chapter's not the last chapter. So we're on chapter 10. When you stand still for over 2 centuries, anyone know how long a century is? It's 100 years. So we have 2 centuries. While the world whirls past, things happen. Mostly, by far and away, good things have been my lot in life. My leaves have cooled picnickers and proposers. Beneath my bows, vows have been made, hearts mended, nappers have napped, dreamers have dreamed. I've watched ascents attempted, listened to stories spun, and the laughter, always and forever laughter. But sometimes things happen that aren't so good. When they occur, I've learned that there's not a lot you can do except stand tall and reach deep. Oh, that kind of goes along with a little bit of what's happening in our world right now. Like, something has occurred, this virus has occurred, and we just have to stand up and reach deep down into us and say, we've got this, we're doing our best, and that's all that matters, and we will get through this, right? I have, for example, been hacked at, carved into, used for target practice. I have been underwatered, over pruned, that means I cut too much, fertilized and fussed over, ignored and neglected. I have been struck by lightning, battered by sleet. I have been threatened with axes, chainsaws, diseases, and insects. I have tolerated the sharp claws of squirrels and the nagging pokes of woodpeckers. I have been climbed by cats and marked by dogs. I have my aches and pains like everyone. Last year, I had a mite infestation that drove me nuts. Leaf blisters, sooty mold, oak wilt, leaf scorch. Been there, done that. Still, trees are luckier than people in one way. Only 1% of a fully grown tree is actually alive at any time. Most of me is made of wood cells that are no longer living. In many ways, it makes me tougher than you. So yes, I've seen a lot, and who knows, I may see much more. I could live to be 300, 500 even. It happens. Red oaks lead long lives, longer than our daintier friends, black willows, persimmons, apples, and redbuds. And yet, a few days after Samar's tearful wish, something happened that made me wonder if I'd finally witnessed too much. Chapter 12, or 11, I mean. The morning was budding, and I was waiting for warmth. Down the street, a lanky boy was lingering near a stop sign. Head down, he was hunched over like a wind-blown weed. In his right hand was something shiny. A tool? Maybe, or a pen? He was smiling just a bit as if he'd told himself a joke only he, perhaps, understood. All day long, I see people lost in thought, talking to themselves, grinning, frowning. He was nothing out of the ordinary. I was in the midst of a conversation with Bongo, who had just pointed out to me that I was a year older. 216 rings old, to be precise. Another sprout day, I said. I still feel like a young sapling. You don't look a day over 150, Bongo replied. Best looking tree on the block. I'm really I paused for comic effect. Getting up there. Get it? He's a tree. Getting up there. Bongo, who was perched on my lowest branch, sighed. A crow sigh is unmistakable, like a groan from a tiny, cranky old man. Tree humor, I explained, just in case Bongo had missed it. Although, of course, she hadn't. Bongo misses nothing. Because, I'm a tree. I'm tall. Really, Red? Bongo stretched, admiring her luscious blue-black wings. That's the best you got for me this morning? Maybe you'd appreciate my joke more if you weren't so sensitive about your stature, I teased. Corvids don't give a flying tail feather about height, Bongo said. Smarts, wiles, trickery, cunning, that's what counts in our neck of the woods. Corvids is a fancy name for birds like crows, ravens, jays, and magpies. Oh, so in the book that I'm reading with Quinn, Logan, Anijah, and Kennedy, we just talked about how sometimes if you don't know the meaning of a word, the author actually puts like here's what this would mean in like the next paragraph or sentence, and that's just what this author did. So that's really cool that we see it in a couple different books. A soft wind tickled my branches. Spring, that old rascal, was teasing us with the promise of warmer days. The truth is, I said, it doesn't matter what size you are, Bongo. We grow as we must grow, as our seeds decided long ago. Red, way too early in the morning for wise old tree routine. Bongo gave me a gentle peck. Although you're right, it doesn't matter how tall you are. In a flurry blur, she sailed to a telephone pole far above my leafy canopy. Not when you can fly, pal. Aw, Tyler's eating his snack just like we would all eat snack together and do our read aloud. I miss you all. At almost the same moment, Samar and the boy who lived in the greenhouse, Stefan, stepped onto their porches. Both had backpacks. Both looked eager to greet the day. Their eyes met. Stefan nodded, just a flicker, and Samar nodded back. Not a hello exactly, just an acknowledgement. Stefan ran off toward the elementary school down the street, but Samar hesitated. Hello, she called softly. Right on cue, Bongo replied, hello, as she did every morning, sounding just like Samar. Bongo can also do a passable tuba, an impressive chihuahua, and a fine police siren. Samar looked up at Bongo, grinned, and headed toward school. With that, Bongo let loose a hoarse and gleeful caw and set off to wait for children to arrive at school. She was a regular there. Everybody knew her. She enjoyed annoying the children, and they enjoyed letting her annoy them. Bongo especially liked to untie shoelaces. While the children were busy retying them, she would snatch treats from their lunch bags. Every now and then, she would even make a polite request. She could say, chip, please. No way, and you rock, when it served her purposes. Watching Bongo soar, I considered, not for the first time, my rambling roots. What would it be like to fly? To burrow deep down? To swim? Or to gallop? Delightful, no doubt. Sheer joy. And yet, I wouldn't trade a single rootlet for any of it. It is a great gift indeed to love who you are. The make sure you guys all love yourselves because you are all amazing. And our last chapter for today, chapter 12. By this time, the lanky boy had walked past me, swiveled, and returned. Glancing over his shoulder, he stepped onto the brown lawn and blanketed my roots. The air changed, quivering the way it will when people are near, with chemicals, with pulsing heat and humanness. And then it happened. He dug into my trunk with that shiny object that was in his hand. Fast, deliberate. Again, he checked his surroundings. An elderly woman crossing the street smiled at him and shook her head. She was probably thinking, how sweet. I bet he's carving a heart with initials in it. Oh, that would be young. Oh, to be young and in love. People are under the impression that trees don't mind being carved into, especially if hearts are involved. For the record, we mind. I'd never seen the boy before. He was big, maybe a high schooler. It's hard to know with people. With a tree, I can sense to the month, sometimes to the day, its age. I couldn't tell what he was carving, of course, but I could tell from the determined way he moved that it was meant to hurt. Not me. Somehow I sensed that it wasn't meant to hurt me. I was just his canvas. That said, it's not exactly a picnic getting hacked into. Bark is my skin, my protection from the world. Any wound makes it harder to fight off disease and insects. I wanted to yell, stop, to say something, anything. But of course, I didn't. It's not our way. Trees are meant to listen, to observe, to endure. He was done quickly. He stood back, admired his work, gave a little nod, and left. As he walked away, I saw the tool clutched in his fist. A little screwdriver with a yellow handle. Thin as a twig, bright as a meadowlark. This is in the bottom of the book. Chapter 13. Okay, we're going to stop right there. For today, we'll have to wait and see what that boy chiseled into the tree by 3rd grade.